Boom. All right. We're back again with another episode of Sensical Sense. Sensical, I've been watching you this week on Instagram, and man, you've been hitting on some hot rocks this week. But I know you have a couple of topics you want to dive into, so I'll let you do that. I know you wanted to dive into the Palestinian and maybe divert over to the Grammy, so I'll let you kick it off.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Lee. I just have a lot to talk about, so let me just go straight to it. When it comes to the Palestinian thing, I've read the comments. I've read the comments of the episode I dropped uh, last week. So I'm just gonna say this. I'm just going to double down and say that I'm not taking back my words, because I'll never, ever, ever, ever apologize for putting Black people first before any other community. Because I am an African, and I love all African people. We have been catching hell for 400 years. And in those 400 years, there was slavery in America, there was Jim Crow, there was the civil rights struggle, there was the crack epidemic. Come here in Africa, there was colonization. Our land was stolen. There was genocide in Congo, where King Leopold II killed more people than Hitler. So, and then of course now there's neocolonialism. There's there are so many things that have happened in Africa and to Africans globally, and then you want me to divert my attention to Palestinians. What have Palestinians ever done for us? Remember now, Palestinians are Arabs, okay? I want people to study the trans-Saharan slave trade. The trans-Saharan slave trade happened way before the transatlantic slave trade, which we all know. Arabs traded us before white people. Okay, now listen. Now, currently, as we are speaking right now, Africans who are going to work in the Middle Eastern countries, I wish you know, and I wish the viewers would just do some research and watch some YouTube videos of testimonies of Africans who are currently working in Saudi Arabia, in Qatar, in Dubai. You just watch those YouTube videos and look at the statistics. Africans are being mistreated in the Middle East. What do you, like it's insane. And I know this because Kenyans are the ones who are being mistreated the most. Actually, last year, there was a shocking number of Kenyans who died in Saudi Arabia only. And those are the reported cases. What about the ones we don't know? Women are being raped. I mean, men are subjected to unsafe workplaces. What's happening to Africans in the Middle East is awful. The Palestinians have not raised a hand when it comes to that. What's happening in Haiti is crazy because of the history that Haiti has with the US and the French. And currently, Haiti will never be the same. For as long as the US is always sticking its dirty hand in their cookie jar, for as long as France is sticking that dirty hand into their cookie jar, Haiti will forever be a place of unrest and war. Look at Congo. Look at kids as young as 7 years old being subjected to go work in those unsafe mines, so that you, Lee, can have your MacBook Pro, so that you can have your iPhone, so that you can have your Tesla, at the expense of kids who are, come on, please, do not tell me anything when it comes to Palestinians. I have my own problems, and my problems are bigger and have been bigger for 400 years, and they are bigger now, and we are being subjected to what's happening in Congo and Haiti and Somalia and Sudan and Ethiopia and northern Nigeria is worse than what's happening in Palestine and in Ukraine. So what's happening there is bad, and I wish that peace prevails. Just like the way I said in the episode. But I am not going to sacrifice my time to advocate for you at the expense of my people. I'm never going to do that.
I love it. Sensical, you mentioned that you had some remarks on your last video. I'm sure your video was not anti-Palestinian. It was just pro-African. What were the responses? Because I hadn't seen that one yet. What were the responses that you were getting? If you can just give me a few.
Yeah, of course, some people were showing support of what I said. But I just felt sad because most responses were along the lines of, oh, it's they're human beings and they should, they deserve to be fought for. And I agree with the fact that they're human beings. That's why I'm saying I wish peace prevailed. Okay, but nobody has ever, like, you need to understand, we had to fight our way through slavery. We had to fight our way through colonialism. Nobody helped us significantly. There might be some advances here and there, but I'm talking about significant systemic help to get through these particular ordeals. Nobody helped us. We had to get through these things on our own. So why should I help a community that has never ever done it? So and then this other thing about humanity. Palestinians. I mean, I only care about humanity. Do you know how many people keep on telling me, oh, I don't care about the black race, I only care about the human race and all that? Well, let me tell you something. This world is a racial world. We didn't make it this way. We didn't make it this way. White people made it this way. You understand? This is a racial world. I don't want to hear all that bull crap people keep on saying, oh, I don't see color. What do you mean you don't see color? We're the only people that don't see color. What do you mean? I hate that. Color exists. There's black, there's white, there's other ethnicities. It exists, and every ethnicity cares for their own apart from us. Let me ask you a question. Is hashtag pray for Congo as popular as pray for Ukraine or pray for Palestine?
No.
Is hashtag pray for Somalia, pray for Sudan, pray for pray for Haiti? Is it as strong as pray for Ukraine and pray for Palestine?
No.
Let me tell you something. I am so sick and tired of us fighting other people's battles. We fight Latinos' battles. We fight Arabs' battles. We fight white people. Of all the people, we fight white people's battles after what they did to us for 400 years and after what they're still doing to us. We are still fighting their battles. You have troops going to fight the white man's battle in Iraq, in Afghanistan. And I just ask myself, I sit down and I ask myself, how can you be a black soldier for any country outside of Africa? And how can you subscribe to the army and fight their wars, yet they have never ever fought for you? So please, when it comes to Palestinians or Ukrainians, they have never done anything to us, so I'm never going to do anything to them. But I wish peace prevails, and I wish that they get justice. But I'm never going to fight for them because we have bigger fish to fry.
I love it. Now, I will say I have several family members. I have several friends that are in the military, and I get the overall understanding, because if you're born here and you don't have an education of where you came from, so to speak. And before we go any further, I want to say that most Africans that came to America did not come by ships, right? A lot of them did, but all of them did not, right? And I think we have to talk through that, because when you look at the math, it's mathematically impossible for the amount of Africans they say got here by boat because of people dying on boats. So I think we need to clarify that most of us did not get here by ships, right? Some of us were here already. I'm going to say this again. It's going to upset some people, but the Africans were here before Columbus rolled up. Okay, I want us to be very clear of that. And we were here with the Indians. Okay, now I know that's hard for you to believe, right? But the darkest hues on this planet have expressed every other hue, right? So from the darkest human being to the lightest human being, it all started and came from the darkest human being, right? And that's not, and I'm not going to get into science, but I want us to understand that when he's talking about how can you fight the war, being an American and being born here and not having that education, it's easy, right? Because the military pays you, right? They send you to school, they give you loans, da, 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 da. And it's hard for us to say, well, what are we going to do in place of that? But what he's saying is, if you know, you do better, right? When you realize you know something better, you do better. And so I can understand that. And some people are gonna have a tough time with the sensical, but I feel where you're coming from.
Of course. And just before we continue, I'd like to say that I'd like to correct myself. On the last episode, I talked about Global 2000 being drafted by Henry Kissinger. That was a little bit erroneous. It was during Global 2000 was signed and was like one of the people who crafted it was President at that time, President Carter. But Henry Kissinger, though, he drafted the National Security Memorandum in 1974. Now, Henry Kissinger in 1974, when he drafted the National Security Memorandum, that memorandum and Global 2000, both of them have one thing in common, and that is they are trying to see how we can deal with the population, how we can get through population control. And like I said the last episode, if there's one thing that white supremacy is obsessed with, is population control. Okay? So that's just what I wanted to correct on. And I mean, it's very interesting that the National Security Memorandum was drafted in 1974 and Global 2000 was drafted in 1980. And right after that, AIDS dropped. Right after that, the crack epidemic happened. Like, wait, what? You mean to tell me that the government, like,
back that up, because I want you to make that connection. So the memorandum is in essentially a plan, right? A plan to fulfill an agenda, right? And you're saying that the memorandum was to depopulate certain people or all people?
Well, remember, they don't specify who it is, right?
Yeah.
But let me ask you a question. If you're just to use your common sense, right? With the history of America, with the history of white supremacy, when they talk about population control, with the history that they have with us, who do you think they're talking about? You understand? Like who do you think they're talking about? Do you think they'll implement the population control measures on their own community? No. That's why I hear in America there's a lot of Planned Parenthood clinics in and abortion clinics in black neighborhoods, but there are a lot of fertility clinics in white neighborhoods. Okay? And by the way, Planned Parenthood is another thing because it was made by Margaret Sanger. And Planned Parenthood was initially called what? The Negro Project. The Planned Parenthood was initially made by eugenicists. This was a eugenics campaign to depopulate the black population.
Hold on. You said that it was called the Negro Plan at first?
The Negro Project.
Wow.
Do your research. Listen, people who are watching me and people who are listening to me, do your research. That's why I keep on saying, don't believe whatever they tell you on CNN, on Al Jazeera, on MSNBC, on even here in Africa, even here in Kenya, in the local news. I never believe whatever. Because whenever I watch news, I ask myself one thing. Why are they showing me this now? Why are they showing me this information in this particular manner? Why now? Why this way? You know, like ask yourself one thing. If they own the media, what makes you think that they will show you everything that they're doing? They'll never show you everything that they're doing. They'll only let you know what they want you to know. So it's up to you to do your research and question everything. Nowadays, bro, I question everything I see. Everything I see in the news, I do my research. And if it's true, then that's okay. If it's not true, you know, then that's when I get to know more and more and more. But I dig deep and deep and deep. You cannot trust white media because it is one of the arms of their power structure.
Okay, before we move into the Oscars, I want to end this piece off because I want people to understand. So, because you just made a connection for me as well. I'm very familiar with the memorandum that Henry Kissinger wrote, and I've read it, and it was maybe a decade ago, and I think it's when I really started to dive deeper into what this means and what this stands for. You're saying that the memorandum was written in 1974, and in between that time, crack epidemic hit the black neighborhoods, and essentially they started releasing their plan to fulfill the memorandum. Okay, so
Yeah,
that's hard to argue.
not only
right?
crack,
That's hard to argue.
Not only crack, but AIDS as well. AIDS also came in the 80s. Okay, so I'm telling you, and not only that, but if you pay close attention, you'll see, you'll just begin to see the plans that they're rolling out. Okay, so I'm just gonna say this, and I'll say it again one more time. We are on our own. I was talking to my friend the other day. We always argue, and I keep on telling her, we are on our own. Black people, we are the only people who are on our own. Our leaders have abandoned us. Okay, our leaders. We good, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We are on our own. Our leaders have abandoned us. Our pastors have definitely abandoned us. Our imams, our religious leaders have abandoned us. Our politicians have abandoned us. Hell, bro, even our teachers have abandoned us. We are on our own in this, okay? And of course, white people have abandoned us. No race is obviously thinking about helping black people. We are on our own. So it's up to us to draft a plan on how we can get by as black people and how we can unite as African people globally and succeed. Because if you're counting on the politicians, trust me when I say this, they will never help you. If there's one thing that I'm disappointed right now is African politicians and Black leaders all over the world. Let's start with America. If there's one thing that I hated is the Obama presidency. Now I know people will get on my ass when it comes to Obama because Obama has Kenyan blood, but I don't care if Obama has Kenyan blood. I don't care because I'm so sophisticated in my mind to separate Obama having Kenyan blood and him doing nothing for the community. He did nothing for the Black community except inviting rappers and singers to come and sing and dance in the White House. And I was, listen to me, Obama is, but listen, even though he did nothing, it's understandably so because at the end of the day, presidents are not chosen by people; they're chosen by the power structure.
Yeah.
But at least, bro, at least do something. Even just take one problem of the Black community and solve it. You don't have to do everything because, of course, I understand you are controlled, but at least do something. And he did absolutely nothing, which is why I am not a fan of Obama. I have never been, even though Kenyans will get on my ass when it comes to this because Obama has Kenyan blood. I'm here to tell you this. I don't care about that. I stand on the truth. And I'll die with the truth. The truth means so much to me than money and anything else.
I believe that, but before I know I keep saying before we move to the next one because I want you keep throwing some stuff out there that I want to put the magnifying glass on. So you just made a point that I can feel myself as an American. You said that the Black leaders have failed Black people in America, is what you're saying.
Of course, of course.
So when you say they failed us, you're essentially saying that they're in cahoots with the power structure.
Well, that's the reason why they're failing us, because they don't want to lose their relationships and their influence and their proximity to the white power structure. They don't want to do that because at the end of the day, they're the ones who pay them. They're the ones who pay for their mortgage, for their benefits, for their bodyguards, for their kids to go to the best. And this doesn't apply to your congressmen or to your Black governors or to your Black politicians in America and in Europe. This also applies here in Africa. These leaders are put by white people. Even here in Kenya, our leader was greatly helped to win the election by America. And that's why right now he's passing legislation and everything he's doing is to make Americans happy. So what I'm trying to say is that democracy doesn't exist because democracy is meant to give you the illusion that there's people power. There's nothing like people power. There's nothing like people power. Power is only possessed by people on top. Sadly, that's the case right now.
How do you, before we dive into the Oscars, I want to get there. What's the answer, right? And I'm a big proponent of. I don't mind you sharing me what the problem is, but I want you to bring a bucket with solutions. So tell me, before we dive into the Oscars, what do you think the solution is? And I want it to be something that we can palate. I want it to be something that can be executed. I don't want to, hey, let's all move to Africa because we can't all do that, right? But tell me what you think the short solution is for Black people.
Well, good. Let me start with Africa. Number one, we need to change the whole curriculum. Every single book in African curriculum that is written by white people should be removed, and And we need an Afrocentric Pan-African curriculum that is for and by African people, the whole of Africa. Because we cannot say that we are teaching children in Africa, but we are using white curriculum and we are using white ideologies to teach our children. It doesn't make sense. So number one, we need to change our curriculum. Number two, we need to teach leadership courses in African high schools and also in elementary African schools, what we call primary school. Because let me tell you something. If there's one thing that we need right now is Pan-African, responsible African leadership. If there's one thing that if you pay close attention to African politics right now, you will probably find one. You'll probably find Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, okay, and maybe another one. But other than that, 99.9% of African leadership is total embarrassment. You have over 50 African leaders who are controlled by white people, who are scared of white people, because if they don't do what they want them to do, they'll end up like Gaddafi. They'll end up like Thomas Sankara. They'll end up like all these leaders who went against the power structure and had to succumb. So number one, we need to teach African leadership in schools. We need to nurture kids to be Pan-African leaders from the moment they're in school, so that when they grow up, the higher chances of them being real, tough, responsible Pan-African leaders is high. That's what we need. So that's on the education sector. On the economic sector, which is the most important thing, I'll always say this and I'll say it again. We need a common economy in Africa. We cannot have 33 different currencies in one continent and expect us to be wealthy and expect us to be powerful and expect us to be economically organized. We cannot have 54 different economies in one continent and expect us to be free. It doesn't make sense. We need a common economy. We need a common economy backed by a common currency that is backed by our rich portfolio of minerals that we have in Africa. That's what we need. I am so sick and tired.
Americans?
I'm getting there. Because one thing you need to understand is that a strong Africa is a strong African. A strong Africa is a strong Black America. A strong Africa is a strong Black Europe. Is a strong Black South America. Is a strong Caribbean. Black people in the Caribbean islands. One thing you need to understand is, if your homeland is not respected and if your homeland is not strong, do not expect you to be respected. Do not expect you to be strong. So number one, education. Number two, economics. Once we get the economics right, politics will be good. Education will be good. Okay, agriculture will be good. Okay, so that's number one. When it comes to Africans in the diaspora, this is very simple. Okay, and I've always been saying this. We need to be sacrificial. Power only comes when you're sacrificial.
Man, I feel that.
You cannot tell me that Black America is $1 trillion people, but you're the poorest race in America.
Yep.
So how can you be $1 trillion people and the poorest race in America? Because we don't have responsible spending. And this goes to every single African globally. We don't have responsible spending. As soon as we get money, the first thing we do is to think about how we're going to enrich Louis Vuitton and Gucci and Versace. Soon as we get money, we are thinking about the red bottom shoes. Soon as we get money, we think about really useless, superficial things. And we should be thinking about how we can organize our money into really having economic power. So number one, we need to sacrifice our money. And like I said the last episode, we need to have a black fund. And this isn't just a black fund in America. We need to have a global Pan-African black fund whereby we agree that every month for every single working African in this world, we remove a certain percentage of our money into this fund. And let it grow interest for a certain amount of years, let's say for 5 years, and let us use that money into building something that can benefit the community, into building a bank, into building a Pan-African bank where that money can be stored, where we can get loans easily, where we can finance our freedom. That's what we should talk about. We can even talk about how we can work with each other into building our own cryptocurrency coin. Why are we thinking about economic power only only in the confines of money, while cryptocurrency can also be another in to our economic freedom? So these are the things we need to think about. But it all starts with us sacrificing something.
Okay.
So we need to sacrifice money. But most importantly, Lee, I am here to tell you this. If you don't form a connection with the motherland, you will never be free. We, as African people, globally, even here in Africa, will never be free for as long as we're divided. And by forming a connection, I'm not meaning that you necessarily have to move into Africa 100%. No, even though even though that's the best case scenario, it doesn't have to be that way. Do you know you basically can create, you with your 5 friends can say, you know what, I have a friend in Kenya. He owns a nice business startup in Kenya. They require funding, but they are unable to get funding. So let us join hands, us five friends, us 5 Black American friends. Let's join hands. Let's fundraise and provide capital for that business startup in Africa to succeed. And let's have some equity in that business. Or maybe you say, you know what? I know there's a piece of land in Ghana that is so big and it is so cheap. So you know what? Me and my friend, we're going to fundraise money and buy that land. That's forming a connection. You don't have to be here so that you can form a connection with the motherland. Invest in the motherland. There's so many ways you can invest. Because I'll always say this, every empire has fallen. The Roman Empire fell. If you look at history, even Napoleon, even Napoleon was thoroughly beaten by the Haitians. You understand? So every empire has fallen, including the famous Roman Empire. What makes you think that the American empire will not fail? What makes you think that the American empire will not fail? All empires that have been built with people's blood is bound to fail one way or another, and America will fail. And I would hate to see, I will hate to see you guys fall with the same people who have been oppressing you for 400 years. And the only way you can escape that particular ordeal is by forming a connection with the motherland. You need to form a connection. This is your home. Don't even let continental Africans tell you that you're not an African. This is your home. This is your birthright.
Yeah, that was heavy. So as we pivot to Oscar, I want to. Do you know the history of Oscar, the Oscar Awards, and what it was named after?
Yeah, Oscar Michaud, the black guy. Yeah.
Oh, so Oscar is a black guy.
Of course, of course, of course. But you see, the problem is that Lee, and I'll always say this when it comes to entertainment, because I'm an entertainer myself. I'm a rap artist. When it comes to entertainment, this is the most powerful tool that white supremacy uses to hoodwink and to tranquilize black people so that they cannot think about revolution.
Mm.
When you look at Hollywood, we have been misrepresented for so long. I mean, the first Hollywood blockbuster film was Birth of a Nation. And Birth of a Nation was a disgusting film that was showing black people in a really, really racist, disgusting way. That's the roots of Hollywood. The roots of Hollywood is rotten. It's crooked. So how do you expect the fruit to be sweet if the roots are rotten? So that's why I'm saying when it comes to Hollywood, we need our own, not only studios, because I know Tyler Perry has his own studios, and I really, really commend the guy, even though I hate his content.
Yeah.
I salute the guy for building his studio in Atlanta. That's amazing. But studio is only one thing. The money in entertainment lies in distribution. How the film and how the music is distributed, that's where the power in entertainment lies in. We need our own distribution networks. We need our own streaming platform networks. That's what we need. We don't need another studio. There are many studios. There are many production companies. There are many black production companies. We need distribution. And if we do that, we'll have total power. So when it comes to Hollywood, that's what I would like to say. But when it comes to the Oscars, I am so disappointed. When it comes to the Grammys, I'm so disappointed at black people because they put so much emphasis into these white awards. And normally I ask myself, why can't we make our own? Why can't we make our own serious, highly scrutinized award system that only awards films that have quality acting? Why can't we do that as black people? Or quality music? Why can't we do that as black people? Do you know? Now let me shift to music real quick. Do you know how many hip hop legends we have? Now hip hop is very lucky. Hip hop is the most luckiest and the most special genre in the world. Do you know why? Because it's pioneered. Yeah. Hip hop is the most special genre because its pioneers are still alive till this day. No genre can say that. Cool Herc is alive. Africa Bambata is alive. Grandmaster Flash is alive. Bro, our pioneers are alive. My suggestion is this. Why can't we build our own hip hop union? Like, why can't we build our hip hop union and say, you know what? We cannot be the most, like, we cannot be the genre that exposes how extravagant we are, but we don't use the money that we say we have in hip hop to empower the community. Do you know how many broke rappers we have right now? These are the same rappers. These are the same rappers who, you know, when they were popular, they were bragging about how many cars and women and you know and jewelry they have, but now they're broke. Do you know why? It's because we lack a organized system, an organized union that helps rappers and that helps producers and hip hop entrepreneurs into responsible saving. And this is really, really close to my heart because I'm a hip hop artist. And I get so pissed off when I see hip hop not having a union. So my suggestion is this: we need to have a hip hop union. We need to have a hip hop union that fights. And another thing, how many rappers, every single rapper has a bad record label story. Every single rapper has a bad record label story of how they were stifled, how they were robbed, and how they were. So if every single rapper has a bad record label story, then why don't we build a union so that we can fight record labels, so that we can fight streaming platforms? Because you cannot tell me that Spotify is paying people pennies to a stream. It's not even $1. It's not even half $1. It's less than half $1 per stream. And you're telling me we don't have a union to combat this? We're a disappointment. We are a total disappointment. We need a hip hop union. But wait a minute, just wait a minute. Do you know what will force us to make a hip hop union, Brother Lee? Do you know what will force us? It will be AI. Artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence in music will force hip hop artists to make a hip hop union. I remember when I released my hip hop episode, and everybody was getting on my ass because I was criticizing hip hop. I was criticizing hip hop because of how disorganized we are. But let me say this: we will see the need of building a union when artificial intelligence takes over and it replaces human resource in hip hop. That is when we will start running around and starting to figure out how we can build a union. But it will be too little, it will be too late. Let's build a union right now to combat AI, to combat streaming platforms, to combat record labels, and to organize our money. Otherwise, AI will take over and it will be too little, it will be too late. Mark my words.
Sensical. I love it, but I will push back. All the solutions you gave me, even the hip hop solution, these are vast solutions. I need something that I can feed my baby, right? Give me a small, because remember, let's be real clear. Black people as a people, we're babies still. We're babies because we've been miseducated, right? And so give me a little bit that I can feed to my people that we can digest, right? Because building a union, that's way outside of what we can do this month, this week, this year. I want a solution that I can say, okay, we can pull that off. Because remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? And so and it didn't fall in one. And so if we're trying to build something, how do we do that, right? And I know we were talking about Oscars and everything. I believe that as long as we're a part of a system that's always been against us, it will always be against us, right? And so and I'll let you follow with this. I feel like the only way that we can even get this rolling is there has to be a directory or some type of group that is formed first, right? If we can't communicate with each other, we can't talk about this. This is all just fun talk, right? Because you and I can agree that I agree with almost everything that you've said, right? I agree with your solutions, but we can look at the history and tell that large processes aren't built overnight, and they can't be built by people who are already have their backs against the wall. So tell me how. Give me a small step, like that baby step, right? I don't want the grown man big step. I want a baby step. What's the solution?
Okay, the solution is very simple. Okay, for the union, just to clarify, I was talking about hip hop and what hip hop needs to do. That's why I was talking about a hip hop union. But for the community as a whole, like I said, we need to be sacrificial. We need to be sacrificial. Number one. Number two, but before we be sacrificial, we need to change this thing over here. This thing in between our ears, unless this changes, we'll never be free. And this can only change, and this can only change if we stop looking at racism from a white lens, which is prejudice only. Racism is prejudice plus power, which is why Black people cannot be racist, because we don't fit the 100% definition of racism. Because yes, we can be prejudiced, but we don't have power to change other people's destiny, to get in the way of other people's destiny. So number one, we need to understand here that we are in this on our own. We need to understand here that number one is that all white people are racist. And I didn't say all white people hate Black people. No, I said all white people are racist because they directly and indirectly benefit from Black oppression.
I agree.
So we need to change our minds first. We need to go, and like you said, just some few seconds ago, we are a miseducated people. We have been miseducated for 400 years. To undo the miseducation is so hard. It requires it requires a vigorous detox. It requires a vigorous mental detox. 400 years is no joke. That's 4 centuries. So we need to change our minds first into thinking that we should put our race first. The problem with Black people is that we don't put our race first. We put other people before us. We need to understand that we need to put our race first. We need to understand that America will never, ever do anything exclusively for you. It's up to you to fight for what's yours, and it's up to you to organize and provide for yourself, because America will never provide for you. So basically, what I'm saying is, change your mind first. Just sit down for 1 second, and I'm talking to my viewership right now. If you're not in the wavelength that I am right now, because I always say, I'm a free Black man mentally. I am I am a free black man mentally. I know what's happening, and nothing can fool me. And I know what I'm supposed to do, and I know what I'm supposed to say, which is why uh, I've dedicated my life into building a movement. And by the way, Lee, I would like to say this, that I am in the process of building my Pan-African movement. And the Pan-African movement is called Sell Africa to Africans, SATA, Sell Africa to Africans. Marcus Garvey said, and I'm paraphrasing what he said we need to sell Africanity back to the African because we have been stripped of our identity. So what I'm trying to, so my movement will be a movement that will rewire Black people's consciousness, that will that will undergo a vigorous campaign into supporting Black organizations globally that are serious with improving Black people's lives. You don't have to be a Pan-African for me to promote you in my, in my movement. So long as you are improving Black people's lives, I don't care how you're doing it. I don't care if you're doing it in, so long as you're improving Black people, as long as you're pushing Black people forward globally, I will give you free, vigorous promotion in my movement. I want to be remembered. My legacy, I want to be remembered as a young person, as a young Pan-African from Kenya who was very vocal for Pan-Africanism, who is one of the youngest. Actually, did you know, I was looking at the Pan-African scene the other day, Lee. I am the youngest, if not one of the youngest vocal public Pan-African speakers. I was like, this is insane, because most of them are in their 40s and in their 50s. I am the youngest, if not one of the youngest Pan-African speakers. I want to be remembered for empowering Black businesses. I want to be remembered for shedding light on Black organizations that are pushing the Black people forward and that are fostering African unity. I want to be remembered for empowering Black businesses. I want to be remembered for fighting for my people, and I want to be remembered for saying the truth unapologetically. And of course, I have bigger and bigger and bigger plans that I want to implement. The movement is just the start of my grassroots work.
We got 6 minutes. I want to first say thank you for that. Send me some information on that. That's Sell Africa to Africans. I like that. But I'm pushing back as we close this out, because you gave me a lot of heat. You gave me a lot of information, but I have not gotten a solution that I could give to my child, right? And what I mean by that is the Black race in America, to me, we're still children, right? So what can I give to them, right? And sacrificing, yeah, I hear that. That makes sense, but what does that look like, right? Sacrificing without a direct definition of what and why is void, in my opinion. So tell me, what can I tell my people? What can I give them that can get them to working towards this? And before you answer that, to me, I feel like that this is similar to what we already got right now. We got a lot of people that are throwing up ideas, but nobody's coming with a solution, a small, simple solution that we can implement tomorrow, that we can start on this week, right? Because remember, you're asking people to jump out of an airplane when they ain't never been on a plane, right? And so first we got to say, okay, before you get on the plane, this is how the plane works. Like, and so that's what I want. I want you to give me, in this last 6 minutes, I want you to give me a solution that I can tell that the simplest of minds can understand. That's what I want, because Black people have been pimped by the church. We've been pimped by the judicial system. We've been pimped by everybody. And they always do the same thing. They confuse us with information. with no solid solution, right? Since Malcolm, in my opinion, right? Because Malcolm gave you solid solutions, right? We didn't like them, but he gave you solution, right? Do your own food, right? Get your own breakfast, right? That kind of stuff. Give me that in this last 8 minutes. I mean, this last 5 minutes. Tell me what we can do here in America and abroad that we can implement or we can work on this week.
Number one, I'll tackle economic solution and political solution. So when it comes to politics, this is a very, very practical, realistic thing we can do. Unsubscribe if you're an because I don't like calling you guys African Americans, because you can be a slave and a slave master at the same time. You're an African in America.
Yeah.
So I would like to tell Africans in America to unsubscribe effective immediately. Unsubscribe from the Democratic Party and unsubscribe from the Republican Party. Effective immediately. And say this: build a black voters group which contains the black votes, right? And then you tell Donald Trump, and then you tell Joe Biden, you tell them this: Joe, you've been in power, both of you actually have been in power for 4 years, and you've done nothing for black people. That's okay. Now, whoever will win the second term, if you don't do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H for black people, and if you don't swear right now, and if you don't commit to what we are telling you right now, you will never receive a vote from us. Lee, when you do this, I am telling you, whoever will win the election will respect, first of all, will respect black electorate, and they will do most of the things that you are asking. That's what Latinos do. That's what Jews do. They are politically intelligent to organize themselves into telling politicians, look, if you don't do A, B, C, D, you're not getting our votes. So we need to organize the black vote. I'm so sick and tired of black people going to vote for Democrats all the time. They don't do nothing for you. Same as Republicans. So number one, you organize the black vote. You can start with your local area and say, you know what, the state of, let's say, Atlanta. Atlanta there's a lot of black people there.
Yeah.
So we say, in the local level, we are organizing the Atlanta Black Vote. Whoever is running for mayor, whoever is running for Congress, whoever is running for the gubernatorial seat, we have our own manifesto. We have our own agenda that you have to pass, or else you will never get the black vote. So when you start, when you start like that from a local political level, it will be so easy for it to graduate to a national political level, to a federal political level. But it has to start locally. It has to start in your state, in your town, in your area first. So that's what I would suggest as the solution, as a political solution. For the economics, it's pretty simple. We need to practice group economics. Like I said, Africans in America cannot be $1 trillion people, but at the same time become the poorest race in the world. It doesn't make sense. So number one, we need for Africans in America, we need a fund, a Black American fund where Black people, where we can sit down and we can say, you know what, fine, we don't agree with each other. Some of us are Pan-Africans, some of us are integrationists, some of us are foundational Black Americans, some of us are Christians. We are different. We are different Black people. But at the end of the day, let's commit to giving out at least 10% or even 5 or whichever percent we can agree with. Let's agree to put a certain percentage of our salary into this fund. Let us think long term. Let the money mature for a few years and let us use that money into Black development in America. Use that money into building a chain of Black schools that teach Black children real Black education. Use that money into building a chain of Black banks where Black people do not have to fight to get loans to finance their businesses. But it all starts with us starting a Black American fund or a Black British or a Black British fund or a Black French fund. In fact, France has a lot of Black people, has more Black people than any other country in Europe. So these are the ideas. The African diaspora, and even here in the continent, we need to sacrifice our money, man, because there is no Black power without the Black dollar.
Yeah, man, this has been. We didn't even get to our other two. We didn't get to Oscars, and we didn't get to the other topic that we wanted to dive into. Man, I love this sensical. I love this intel. I love your zest for life. I love your ideology, right? And if I had to sum it up, I would say that is you want to take care of home first. And I respect that. And every human being, every person that's watching this.
No. I want to take care of Black people.
Which is home. Which is home. Africa is home. And that's Black people, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Of course, but just for the sake of clarification, my obligation, and I want to take care of Black people globally, not just here at home. Yeah.
I love it. Well, man, that was some hot ones. Before we close, and I know we said this, give us a closing. Give us a something to push us through the week. Help us understand. Just a positive, hug, so to speak.
Yeah, no problem. I'm just gonna say this. Put your race first. Put your race first. It is the most important thing in the world. Not religion, not your sorority, not your fraternity, not your political affiliation, not your education. I don't care whether you have 6 or 10 PhDs. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what matters is your race. Because we are the fathers and mothers of all civilization. Every single race came from our genetics. And all those races that came from our genetics have betrayed us and have sabotaged us and are oppressing us. So it's up to us to take care of our own, because for many years, we've trusted a lot of people and we have been screwed over. So it's up to us to look out for our own. And our own is us, African people. We are one. We are one. A strong Africa is a strong Black America. A strong Africa is a strong Black South America. A strong Africa is a strong Jamaica, is a strong Haiti, is a strong Caribbean islands. A strong Africa is a strong Black Europe. A strong Africa is a strong Black Asia, is a strong Black Australia, the Aboriginals. But for as long as Africa is weak, for as long as Africa is exploited, for as long as Africa is divided, for as long as Africa will never address the 1884 Berlin Conference, we'll never be free. So if you're an activist in the African diaspora, and even here in the continent, if you're an activist, if you're a Black activist, and you're not keeping into account African unity, Pan-African unity, you are wasting your time, and you might as well just stop your activism work.